AG, Roger is demanding evidence that doesn't exist. This is where Ansel Roger went. He promised that on Wednesday he was going to go to the White House, the Prime Minister's office, and deliver a letter, and he did go through with that promise. JTUM, that's the Joint Trade Union Movement on No Vaccine, No Pay. What they said, President of the Joint Trade Union Movement, Ansel Roger, is calling on the government to withdraw its announcement of a COVID-19 vaccination policy for public servants and to have proper discussions with the trade unions. He says if this is not done, yesterday's meeting with Attorney General Faris Al-Rawi would have been nothing more than a sham designed to give the appearance of consultation. We call for the withdrawal and let us reset immediately and begin the discussions. So the union is calling for fresh discussions. You don't have anything on the table. Let's get this discussion going from the very beginning. Roger also called for evidence to show that a vaccinated person cannot contract or spread COVID-19. Until there's empirical evidence to show that a vaccinated person cannot contract and or spread COVID-19 virus and all its variants, then taking the vaccine must be a matter of personal choice, he said. Now, what he's saying there, I understand the point he's trying to make. I understand the point he is trying to make there. If the case is that this vaccine, as taken as is still capable of allowing spread, of allowing infection, then the grounds to force someone to take it, I think the grounds would be a little thin. Because the idea you're forcing someone to take it for is to assure some safety or to increase some safety. And when there's a negligible amount of safety, that could be gained from this, then to force it does seem a bit more difficult. I saw someone, I think it was on Twitter, I saw someone giving this example, and they were talking about it in terms of a birth control. If there was a birth control with the efficacy of the vaccines, and let it be known, I like to preface with this, I am not saying don't take the vaccine, go speak to your healthcare professional and decide for yourself. But if there was, per se, birth control with that level of efficacy, what would have been done? And if there was a birth control that still allowed you to get pregnant that easily, would it have been plausible for some organization to say that it has become necessary to do this to ensure that you do not get pregnant? You must take this birth control. While there is no assurance from it, it becomes a little more difficult. The less reliable the vaccine is, I think the less ground such a measure has to stand up on. If the outcome, this is Roger speaking, if the outcome is to encourage more people to be vaccinated, you are going about it the wrong way. Indeed, if you are to engage us in those discussions going forward, you ought to withdraw that unilateral position that was announced by the Prime Minister. And I also agree with that. You get more flies with honey than vinegar. If you're trying to convince people, you go about it one way. If you're trying to bludgeon people and force them to do something, you go about it another way. If you're looking to encourage someone, there's only the two of them cannot fit at the same time. If you're trying to force someone and then at the same time you're saying, well, I'm actually trying to encourage you, it seems very difficult. It's like I'm telling you, here, have this, it's really good for you. And I'm telling you, this is the best thing for you. You really should have this. And I'm convincing you of this thing. And then in this hand, I have one big piece of iron and I'm saying, you better eat this or else. Those two things don't actually go together. I could threaten you and you may listen to the threat and say, okay, well, I'll eat this because you're forcing me to eat it. Or I can convince you. And when I convince you, you eat it voluntarily. And people are saying, like, if it's impossible to convince people, but I have spoken to people who are anti-vax, who are vaccine hesitant, and I think when I've spoken to them one-on-one, I've changed a few minds. Not that I'm forcing anyone to be vaccinated, but if you speak to someone with the respect, understanding that they are a person, an individual who has the individual right and choice to choose what they want, I think you would be able to convince a lot more people like that.